So I always try and start with a warm, friendly approach to my students, so making sure that I'm getting back to them within reasonable time limits when they make that first point of contact. I think it's really important to be able to establish that you want them there at the placement. I remember being a student and being really excited to start, and the last thing you want is to have a week in between your supervisor calling them back when if you know that they've been at work. So always, giving them lots of reassurance that, mental health is an exciting place to come and work and that it can be really interesting, but also providing any sort of reassurance providing reassurance if the student does feel a bit anxious about clinical placement. Certainly there is a lot of stigma that can be associated with mental health, and so try and knock that on the head right from the beginning and make sure that they're pretty relaxed about coming here. Also just setting expectations for the student from the beginning, so ensuring that they know that first week of placement or so is going to be around observation, that there's no expectations of them other than to just comply with basic clinical or professional boundaries, so making sure that they're staying with the clinician at all times and asking for feedback as it's appropriate. So I find that repeating information can also be quite helpful. So often the students coming, they're trying to learn a lot of things at once. It's not just about what the OT role is, but it's what the other people in the team are doing. It's also what the clients are experiencing. It's the whole hospital system or the healthcare system. So repeating that information, I think, is quite important for them to make sure that they are getting a grasp on what they're seeing. Taking note of the individual's learning styles, I think, is important too. So working out from the beginning whether they find things easier by writing them down, by having discussions about what's going on, or by actually involving them directly in the intervention. If you find that the student is learning best by perhaps recording things down, then certainly journaling might be a way for them to take the time out to absorb what's going on in the environment, what they're seeing, what's happening. However, some students might learn by being more hands-on, getting them right in there, jumping in under your supervision. So I think supervision is really important to get going right from the start, so ensuring that you have a time that's set aside specifically for supervision. My advice would be not to let something else get in the way of it and just get put off for a week, or because you find that you get behind and then issues perhaps don't come up, or the student may not get that time to reflect on what's going on. By the time you do get to supervision, they've forgotten about it, or the issue has escalated. So I think it's really important to put that into place as soon as you can, ensuring that the student's getting those needs met. So one of my other tips would be try and choose clients that are willing to participate, easing the students into their interview skills or their engagement with the clients, especially in mental health. I think we don't want to scare students off too early, but making sure that they get a good experience on their first time around, and they can build their confidence so that they can, next time when they go in, they can develop on that. So journaling, I find, is a really effective tool for the students, especially us as clinicians. Quite often we're spending a lot of time having to document things or follow up on phone calls perhaps that the student might not be primarily involved in. I think it's a really good opportunity to take those bits of time and allow the student to do some journaling. So basically where they sit down, they write out some of what their experiences have been for the day, how they felt at those times, and it can help them with their own clinical reasoning skills. So being able to sit back and think, why did I do this, or how did I feel when I did this, and actually sort of, I suppose, self-counsel themselves. And then, what I encourage people to do as well is to take those and at least have a read of them or have a think about them before they go into their supervision session, so it can help to might bring up some issues that they need to discuss in supervision.